afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Live at 4 on this Thursday. Charlotte's in today for Susan. We are very lavendery today.
Yes, we are.
You got this
So
got this from Italy.
Yes, I just had another. So I was in Italy in April, and I had purchased some wine, vinegar, and lotion, and so I just opened it up.
It's a crema croppa alla lavandava.
Yeah, that's there you go. That is Mark's version of Italian, folks. Yeah. So we lotion. Now you know we've got lavender smelling hands.
All right.
So.
And start thinking up your pet questions because Carrie Donahue will be along later
get in because it's always hard to get her.
Take a call. Let you know when to call in. But first, topping the news today, the warm weather has led to thunderstorms in some areas. Jacob Montesano is standing by with your first warn forecast.
I got stuck in one of those, and Governor Evers kicks off Pride Month by raising the Progress Pride flag over the Capitol.
Plus, warmer weather means more bicycles on Madison's roadways and bike paths. We'll look at how the city is targeting problem areas for cyclists and how a new pedestrian bike bridge could help out. Let's take a look outside, I guess depending on where you were early on. Students sunbathing outside the Kohl Center, but then some storms moved in some areas.
Right, yeah, it was really spotty.
Not everywhere. Still warm and then more rain. Jacob's in the patio with more on all of this.
Yeah, the Madison metro area finally did see some rain again. Right now, we are still seeing some scattered showers across the area. Still seeing some spotty showers across Madison, but the heaviest rain looks to be over at least for now. Now, zooming in, there are a few storms just to the north of Janesville, really around the Janesville area, so there's some heavy rain occurring right there. But for the most part, we're going to continue to see these scattered showers and on and off heavy rain really till around sunset. But as far as the conditions go, it really cooled things off. We were in the upper 80s about 2 hours ago. We are now at 71 degrees with mostly cloudy skies. There still is another chance of some showers later on this evening. Now, taking a look at here's a look at the current temperatures across our area. We are seeing temperatures still in the upper 80s for those locations that haven't seen the rain. But for those of you that have, including us here in Madison, it is certainly a lot colder. Now, wind speeds have been a little on and off. You know, earlier we saw wind speeds up to 20 miles per hour within the thunderstorms, but for the most part, much of our area seeing some fairly calm winds. Janesville specifically with the thunderstorm occurring right now, current wind speed at 17 miles per hour. Now here's a look at future track. We are going to see storms continue for the next few hours. By around sunset, that's when they'll mostly end, and then for the most part, we are going to be dry, and the dry weather will continue into tomorrow morning. But there is another chance of storms for the afternoon tomorrow, and we also are going to remain hot. I'll have all the details coming up a little bit later in the show.
All right, Jacob, we'll check back with you. Thank you.
And Governor Tony Evers kicked off Pride Month by raising the Progress Pride flag over the Capitol this noon.
That Progress Pride flag was raised for the first time in state history last year over the east wing of the Wisconsin State Capitol building. The Progress Pride flag was created to symbolize inclusion of marginalized communities within the LGBTQ community. The event was an emotional one for the governor.
Raising the Pride flag today sends a message for all those who've only ever wanted to belong, who've had to find their own family, who've never known home. You belong here. You are family here. You are welcome here.
The Progress Pride flag will not replace other flags that regularly fly over the state capitol building. The U.S. flag and the Wisconsin state flag will continue flying on the east wing flagpole above the Progress Pride flag. And Pride Month comes with a legislative push within the Capitol as well.
We have new details tonight on what the state's LGBTQ caucus will be introducing. Political reporter Will Keneally has the story.
So tucked away in the Wisconsin Constitution is a provision that defines marriage between one man and one woman. And a decision by the U.S. Supreme Court has kept that clause dormant so far. But after last summer's decision to overturn Roe v. Wade, there's new pressure to get that marriage definition off the books.
The only way to repeal it is for the state legislature to put a repeal on the ballot and give voters the opportunity to take that language out of our state constitution. And that's taken on new importance because of the Supreme Court ruling in Dobbs on abortion last year, where some of the justices in the majority there hinted that they also wanted to overrule marriage equality.
So it wouldn't be a short process either. A constitutional amendment takes a minimum of 2 to 3 years to pass the legislature before it goes to the people for a vote. Now, Senator Mark Spreitzer there wants to move quickly, obviously racing a possible U.S. Supreme Court clock, but he also says that he wants to get this done before 2026 when that amendment turns 20 years old. Reporting from the Capitol, Will Keneally, News 3 Now.
City officials in Davenport, Iowa say 3 residents of an apartment building that partially collapsed on Sunday are still unaccounted for. Earlier this week, authorities said 5 people were missing, but 2 of them have since been contacted and are safe. While engineers are assessing how and when to take the building down, the mayor made it clear it will be done in a dignified manner.
This needs to be done in a way that it respects that this is a resting place. Believe me, that we understand the significance of this tragedy.
Despite reports of structural problems with the building, city officials defended their inspection process, saying an engineer concluded in May that the building did not need to be evacuated.
Construction is well underway to bring safety improvements to one of Madison's busiest intersections.
Among the changes expected on University Avenue is pedestrian and bike bridge that is already being celebrated by Madison's biking community. Tahlil Mohideen joins us now with those details.
The new bridge, which is just starting to take shape, is a part of a roughly $20 million redesign on University Avenue from Sherwood Boulevard to University Bay Drive. City engineers say they targeted the intersection because it was clear there was a lot going on there, with UW Hospital and campus and several businesses, a railroad, and bikers coming through. After getting community feedback to remove the congestion and address concerns over safety, they opted for the bridge.
There's a lot of path users there, and crossing the street could be difficult there at times, you know, with a lot of traffic and conflicts. So we heard a lot of great feedback on the bridge when we proposed it.
About half of the cost for the University Avenue reconstruction project was covered by federal funding. The rest came from city and village contributions. The bridge should be open by end of July or early August. Tonight at 6, we'll hear from those who plan to use that bridge and share what areas they say could use similar improvements.
We'll see you at 6 o'clock. Thank you. Well, now that the House has passed the compromise bill to raise the debt ceiling and avert a potentially catastrophic default, it's up to the Senate to act.
Senate leaders are calling for swift passage, but there is opposition from both sides of the aisle. Skylar Henry has the latest from the Capitol.
We will keep working until the job is done.
Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer announced Thursday the chamber will stay in session until it passes legislation that raises the debt ceiling.
Any change to this bill that forces us to send it back to the House would be entirely unacceptable. It would almost guarantee default.
The bill is passed.
Last night, the House passed the Fiscal Responsibility Act with ample bipartisan support.
The deal the House passed last night is a promising step toward fiscal sanity.
The Senate's top Republican voiced his support for the compromise legislation, which lifts the debt ceiling through early 2025 and slashes federal spending in return.
I'm going to have to swallow hard on some parts of it. I'm sure other members say the same thing. But the responsible thing to do for America is to pass it.
This is going to do nothing, the McCarthy-Biden plan, to restrain spending.
Party leaders are aiming to get the bill to the president's desk before Monday. That's when the Treasury Department says the government will run out of money. But some senators who are against the measure, including South Carolina's Lindsey Graham, who wants more military spending, brushed off the looming deadline.
We're staying here as long as it takes to get some commitment that we're going to reverse this debacle.
Party leaders are hopeful bipartisan support will carry the measure like it did in the House. Skylar Henry, CBS News, Capitol Hill.
The nonpartisan Congressional Budget Office says spending cuts in the bill would reduce deficits by $1.5 trillion over the decade.
2 Wisconsin politicians are voting no on the measure to alleviate the debt ceiling, but for different reasons.
This is a phony crisis. We have more than enough revenue to service our debt, so we wouldn't default, to service and pay off Social Security, Medicare. It'd require responsible cash management, which we know President Biden and Secretary Yellen wouldn't do. They'd try and create as much pain as possible for political gain. Plus, I'll let those individuals who voted for this grotesque level of spending increase the debt ceiling.
Senator Johnson says he was very concerned about the level of spending in this bill. Democrat Congressman Mark Pocan joined Milwaukee Democrat Gwen Moore in voting no on the House floor.
The problem is a lot of the information wasn't forthcoming. We didn't know what COVID rescissions were going to happen to the state of Wisconsin. We couldn't see the side agreements, and much of it was in side agreements. In fact, $58 billion of funding for seniors and schools and healthcare and things like that were not actually in the bill. It was a much lower spending bill, but the side agreements have those, but we couldn't read the side agreements either.
The University of Wisconsin's Carbone Cancer Center will be designated as a specialized program of research excellence, or SPORE, by the National Cancer Institute for Research Initiatives to advance new prostate cancer treatments. This designation comes with more than $11 million in federal funding to support new and existing research efforts. The SPORE grant will focus on methods that could improve treatments for patients with more advanced stage prostate cancer, an area of growing need in recent years.
Well, it is that time of year again. Voting is now open for Madison Magazine's Best of Madison Awards.
We'll tell you where and how to vote when Live at 4 continues.
You're watching News 3 Now, Live at 4.
The piano man, Billy Joel, is moving out. His record-long residency at Madison Square Garden in New York is ending.
Variety reports his last concert there will be in July of next year. That's after more than a decade at the venue and 150 lifetime performances there. The Grammy winner is responsible for more than 1.6 million ticket sales for the Garden, thanks to a tradition of sellouts.
It's hard to end, even at 150 lifetime shows. But as I said, we're not abandoning New York. We're just spending a little more time someplace else. And I just want to thank everyone for the wonderful thing that's happened here. Thank you very much.
Amid news of the achievement, New York's Mayor Eric Adams credited Joel's music with defining the city.
One of the deadliest climbing seasons on Mount Everest has come to an end. Nepal tourism officials say a total of 12 people died and 5 more are missing after this spring's climb. Officials say of the 12 people who died on Everest, 4 are from Nepal and 8 are foreigners. Spring is the prime time to climb Everest, although some mountaineers might climb in the less favorable autumn season.
Workers at Dollar General are demanding stronger safety and health protections. They rallied outside headquarters in Goodlettsville, Tennessee, ahead of the company's annual shareholder meeting. These employees say Dollar General is failing to take precautions to prevent violence in its stores. According to the nonprofit Gun Violence Archive, 49 people have been killed at Dollar General stores since 2014.
Macy's and Costco say shoppers are changing what they buy, and that could be a warning sign for the U.S. economy. Today, Macy's cut its forecast for annual profit and sales after customer demand slowed in March. Costco is also noting a shift in demand. The big box chain reports some customers were switching from pricier steaks and beef to cheaper meats like pork and chicken.
U.S. mortgage rates are the highest they've been since November. That's according to a report out today from Freddie Mac. The 30-year fixed rate average is 6.79% for the week ending Thursday. That's a slight increase from the previous week and 1.5 percentage higher than the same time last year.
Jobless claims are holding steady at a low level. According to data released today by the Department of Labor, first-time claims for unemployment insurance totaled 232,000 last week. That is almost unchanged from the week before and slightly below economists' expectations of 235,000. The number of claims are up from a year ago, but not significantly. The steady level of weekly jobless claims continues to show that companies are reluctant to let go of workers. While the Federal Reserve has been hoping for a softening of the labor market, it continues to prove remarkably resilient.
Stocks start June on a plus note. The Dow Industrials added 153 points, ending the day at 33,061. The NASDAQ was up 165 points. The S&P 500 tacked on 41. Well, this morning, the finalists for Best of Madison were revealed.
And that means for the entire month of June, you have the opportunity to choose things like the best bartender in the area, best TV news personality, which, apparently I'm up for.
Congratulations.
Okay, thank you. And there are over 100 categories to choose from.
Joining us now to discuss the categories and how to vote is Andy Belling, editor of Madison Magazine. Thanks for being with us today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Here we go again.
Here we go again for the 42nd year.
42 years.
Yeah. Yep.
How many categories are you talking about?
The category count, I don't know offhand, but I know that we have about 1,000 people in this final voting phase. We have 6 people within each category.
So there's 6 to choose from.
6 to choose from, yep, and then that gets narrowed down to the gold, silver, and bronze that end up being our winners.
How do you, not that you were here for the very first Best of Madison,
No.
but how does it compare, increasing the categories from back then to now?
Yeah, every year it seems to get a little bigger and bigger. The first one back in 1981, it is fun to look back at. It's just like maybe a little over a dozen categories in that first one, and it has been incredible. I've only been with the magazine for 9 years, but we try to keep the list at a reasonable number just because it is a lot to get through. But it's also so fun to add new categories and make sure that it's representative.
So you go to the website, MadisonMagazine.com or Channel3000.com, there's a link.
Yes.
And then what comes up?
Yep. So, and there's a shortened link, MadisonMagazine.com/BOM, and that'll take you right to the page. And if you were a voter in the nomination phase, they'll remember your email address. It might take you to your email and back to the page to vote. But it's pretty easy. You scroll right down to the voting module, and then it's divided into its own little categories, and you can choose for what you want to vote for.
Do you have to vote in every single category?
Oh my gosh, no, that would take so long.
Like, yeah. So
no, you can jump around. You can come back to it. You do only get 1 vote for the entire month of June. That's different.
1 vote for each category.
1 vote each category. Yes. The nomination period, it was 1 vote every day for the full month. But now that we're in final voting, everyone gets 1 vote for each category.
So end of the month, you tabulate everything, and then what happens? Yeah,
and then so we work with a third-party system too. So there, don't worry about ballot stuffing or anything like that.
Yeah, Charlotte being on the list.
Yeah. I have nothing to do with this.
Yeah, and then the winners will appear in our October issue. So we'll actually announce the winners in the middle of September, which is always fun. And we'll have a big party in October. And yeah, it'll be on our cover for October.
And this is a big deal for a lot of companies. They really want this award.
Oh yeah, you guys have seen it probably in all the vestibules and front offices.
Dentist office.
Yeah, they love putting up the magazine on their walls because it is a big win. It's a readers poll. We don't choose these winners. It's the readers that do. And anyone can vote. You don't have to be in Madison. So it is really a nice representative kind of list that shows who is the best of Madison.
And there are other polls from other publications, but this is the biggest one, isn't it?
Yeah, and we're the best.
Yeah, I know, I was going to say.
Of course, absolutely.
It's the most comprehensive and, the biggest number.
Last year we had 360,000 final votes for the final voting phase, and I just checked at 3. We have already over 18,000 votes. Yeah, for this first day, we've only been 1 day into it. So
that is amazing.
Yeah, I know.
It'll be interesting to see what the count is at the end of the month.
Yeah, we hope to beat that 360,000.
All right, get out and vote.
Yes.
I'd say vote early and often, but just once for each category.
Vote for me.
Vote for Charlotte.
You're up for, you and Eric are up.
And team, you're up for 2.
Hey, Frankie, we're up. He's like,
he's on the phone.
Idea.
Yeah.
Yep.
Andy, thank you.
Yeah,
thank you.
Another side effect has been found for people who take the drug Ozempic.
We'll tell you what that is coming up after Jacob's first warn forecast.
Well, take a look at this. What do you do if a bear jumps in your car? Well, you pin your hopes on a length of rope and just start pulling. That's the work for deputies in Nevada to free a bear from a vehicle without a scratch.
Oh, my gosh.
To the bear, that is. For the car was a different story.
It's like, how did he get in there?
I thought you meant the car at first. I was like, how is that possible?
They learn how to open with the door handle.
Oh my gosh.
We ever heard the story? I think it was World War I or World War II that they actually had a bear to carry ammo, and apparently he had beers with the soldiers. I don't know if this is true, but that's what I was told about
that's good. I mean, Google.
We'll go to the Google. We'll go to the Google.
I mean, I think Google will tell you that. I don't know how true it is, though.
Okay. Well, we will figure this out during your forecast and let you know.
Don't let your pet bear in the car alone.
Yeah.
Right.
Lesson learned. All right. Some people got some rain today.
Yeah, we got some rain too. The temperature's really cooled off, but they're going to rise right back up tomorrow. I'll have the details after the break. Hot weather is going to continue for the next couple of days. Highs will remain at near 90 degrees through at least Saturday. Sunday and Monday will also be pretty warm as well. And tomorrow afternoon, we do have another chance of some thunderstorms. The chance of storms tomorrow does appear to be relatively less than the storm chance today, but we could still see a pop-up storm, and that could bring some heavy rainfall for just a short period of time. And although it's going to be dry for the weekend, it is going to remain humid. Now, I want to talk about the temperatures the last 10 days. Specifically yesterday, we had our first 90-degree temperature of the year. It reached 91 degrees right at the end of May. But other than the last couple of days, temperatures have been very comfortable with highs in the upper 60s to lower 80s. It's just really the last couple of days where temperatures have really started to get cranking up, and they're going to continue to be near 90 degrees really for the weekend, and then they're going to climb back up at some point next week. Now, here's a look at the high temperatures today. We almost got to 90 in Madison, but those storms really brought the temperatures down, and that pretty much washed away any chance we were going to get to 90 throughout the rest of the evening. But some places in our area did get to 90. Here's a look at the current radar. Still seeing some scattered showers and storms. This will continue for the next few hours until around sunset. Madison could see another round of rain, but for the most part, my guess is the heaviest has already passed. And then as we get into the overnight hours, we are going to be mostly dry. Clear skies again for tomorrow morning, but then tomorrow afternoon, we do have another chance of some scattered storms. Tomorrow does appear the greatest chance for storms will be to the west of Dane County, but Madison and the rest of Dane County could definitely see a pop-up shower or storm. And this once again will continue for about the same time frame that we saw today, from the early afternoon to the early evening. By the time we get to sunset tomorrow, we will see the rain have cleared out of the area. And once again, during the overnight hours, we are going to be dry. And to start off the weekend, it is going to be very nice with comfortable temperatures for Saturday morning. Now, here's a look at the overnight lows. We could continue to see some storms during the evening, but for the most part, we are going to be relatively dry throughout the night with lows in the mid-60s. So definitely very mild. And then highs tomorrow will be similar to today and yesterday, with highs right around 90 degrees with another chance of some afternoon showers and storms. Now, we are going to be dry for the weekend, but temperatures aren't really going to decrease all that much. We'll see temperatures near 90 for Saturday. Probably not going to get there for Sunday, but still very warm. And despite the humid weather, we're still not expected to see any rain for the weekend. Now, our next chance of rain after tomorrow will be Monday evening. It does appear that it will bring in a cool front, but still going to see highs in the lower 80s. So it's still going to be relatively warm despite temperatures being cooler than what they are right now and what they will be for the next couple of days. We do have another chance of storms to end next week, but as a whole, we're not seeing a widespread rain event. So in general, we are going to kind of just remain dry for the next 7 days, which I know the farmers are a little disappointed about. And honestly, I was really excited to see the rainfall today. I've been kind of wanting that rainfall. So.
All right, so you were right.
We sent the crack research department on this.
Yes, News 3 now
There he
investigates.
is. There's statues all over Poland.
His name is Wojtek. He was acquired when he was just a cub, and the soldiers would feed him condensed milk in an empty vodka bottle.
But then later on, he grew up and
he grew up and he would eat everything in sight, and then he would even sneak into their showers to have water, but the water was rationed. So apparently one of his caretakers there said that they had to make a call, and they opted to give the 500-pound bear their spare beer, wine, and cigarettes.
So he took a lit cigarette, puffed it, and then ate it.
Yes, he would accept a lit cigarette, take a puff, and then he would eat it. And apparently he would drink out of the beer bottle, and then afterwards he would look in to be like, where's the rest of the beer?
You really went to work on this. Wow.
This is a lot more information.
That's awesome.
We really need it, but
how many rabbit holes do you guys want to go down today?
Thanks for the heads up. Now we know. Well, medications like Ozempic aren't just helping people shed pounds.
Many patients say since taking the drugs, they've lost interest in addictive behaviors.
As Meg Terrell reports, the science behind these medications may explain how the two are connected.
These days, Sherry Ferguson has swapped her vape pen for an Ozempic pen.
I thought, I'm not enjoying vaping, so I may as well just put this into the battery bin at work, and I'll see how long I can go without it. And that was 54 days ago.
Ferguson started using Ozempic 11 weeks ago to combat weight gained during the pandemic that she says was increasing her risk of diabetes. A smoker for much of her life, Ferguson switched to vaping last July. But after starting Ozempic, she says something changed.
It's like someone's just come along and switched a light on, and you can see the room for what it is, and all of these vapes and cigarettes that you've had over the years, they don't look attractive anymore. It's very, very strange, very strange.
Ferguson is one of many patients taking drugs like Ozempic for weight loss who say they've also lost interest in some addictive behaviors. Doctors told CNN that patients most commonly report an effect on alcohol use. It may be because these drugs in a class known as GLP-1s have an effect not just in the gut, but also in the brain. It's something being studied at the National Institutes of Health, where researchers just published a paper showing semaglutide, the active ingredient in Ozempic, reduced what they called binge-like alcohol drinking in rodents.
We believe that at least one of the mechanisms how these drugs reduce alcohol drinking is by reducing the rewarding effects of alcohol, such as those related to a neurotransmitter in our brain, which is dopamine. So these medications are likely to make alcohol less rewarding.
And it's not just alcohol and nicotine. Patients have even told The Atlantic it had effects on behaviors like nail biting and online shopping.
There is a lot of overlap on the neurobiological mechanism that regulate addictive behaviors in general. So it's possible that medications like semaglutide, by acting on this specific mechanism in the brain, they may help people with a variety of addictive behaviors.
Clinical trials in humans are needed to prove that. One set is underway at the University of North Carolina, looking at semaglutide's effect on alcohol and tobacco use. Sherry Ferguson says Ozempic has helped her lose 38 pounds. Even better, she says, is how it's made her feel.
The weight that it takes off your mind is far greater than any pounds that can come off your body.
And neither Novo Nordisk nor Eli Lilly are currently running trials looking at the effect on their medications for addictions.
This traditionally hasn't been a big market for drug companies, although doctors say there's a huge need for better treatments.
Well, coming up next here on Live, before we take you back to 1985 for a man that, or 1983 that is, for a man that could find graves using
and water, using those divination rods.
Yes, divining rods.
Oh, and at 5, AAA says teen driving accidents increased dramatically during the period between Memorial Day and Labor Day. News 3 Now's Catherine Merck explains why.
Giving the weather satellite a spin is downtown Los Angeles. Cloudy, 68 degrees.
Wow.
We're 90, or we were.
We're still a lot warmer than LA. Well, you've heard the old saying, seeing is believing.
Let's test that out with this week's Traveler Throwback Thursday from 1983.
When Gilman Voss walks up to greet you, he doesn't shake your hand. He's got his own method. Gilman's calling card is divining rods. We met up with him at the Middleton Junction Cemetery. Gilman is on the board there, and he's been using the rods to map out the grave sites. For some reason, whenever the rods pass over a grave, they cross. The grave can be unmarked, the grave can be under a road, the grave can contain cremation ashes. But whenever Gilman passes over one, the rods go from a nice parallel position to form an X. We see it work. But how does it work?
I don't know. I have no reason to know. It's no trick? No trick.
The rods do, in fact, appear to be responding to some type of force. They are not magical rods. Just about any metal sticks will work. Coat hangers do the job. And they seem to respond for most people, this reporter included. They also respond to living people you walk up to. It is just a bit unnerving.
I was told by an engineer, if you dug a hole and didn't put a body in it, closed it up, they would cross, but I proved that wrong. And where we have moved a body, it no longer shows a body. So that his theory is wrong, but...
There are probably lots of theories about divining rods, magnetic fields and such, but that wouldn't explain how Gilman can find cremation ashes, or how he can find the water pipeline. Yes, it works on water, too.
It will for a tree, in fact. It seems like anything that had energy or has energy. It's a little slow on a tree. You almost have to get it right on top of a live tree, but it will.
Gilman knows there are people that won't accept this even after they try it themselves. That doesn't bother him, though. It worked successfully for him. He has mapped out the whole cemetery. He's a believer. And you know, after watching him a while, he could probably make a believer out of Ripley. Mark Kane, News 3, traveling in Middleton.
I don't know.
That's fascinating.
I didn't put them together.
I know people who have used those, and yeah, it's inexplicable.
It is.
Really.
Believe it or not. Well, do you have an ailing pet? Here's your chance to talk to a vet for free.
Dr. Carrie Donahue from Full Circle Holistic Pet Care will be taking your calls
There
at
she is.
608-270-9933. Call in now. We will get to your questions right after this break.
It's time now for your first warn traffic. There is a disabled vehicle eastbound on the Beltline right near the interstate. That's causing quite a bit of backup. There also earlier was a crash on the interstate northbound, and it actually closed the highway for a brief period of time, but right now the interstate is green in both directions. Down south to Janesville, over 70 miles per hour in both directions, and up north to the Dells, also looking very clear with 70 miles per hour roughly in both directions. But eastbound Beltline, it is going to be pretty slow, especially near the interstate because of that backup, but westbound's looking very good, and the southbound Sun Prairie to downtown is also looking good. And that's your first warn traffic. Back to you guys at the couch.
All right, a sea lion that was wounded by industrial plastic was returned to the sea in Argentina after spending 3 weeks in recovery. The Mundo Marian Foundation said the young male was found on May 11th with a deep wound on its neck from a plastic strap typically used in industrial packaging. The wound healed very quickly, and the little sea lion was fit to return to the sea. The sea lion, along with 2 other animals, headed out to sea back home.
That's always great to see. Well, it's time to get your pet questions answered live.
That number to call is 608-270-9933. And Dr. Carrie Donahue from Full Circle Holistic Veterinary Care joins us now.
Welcome.
Thank you.
We've been talking on the show about how bad ticks are this year, and it's Lyme Disease Awareness Month.
It is. And I mean, we see so much of it in dogs, and not only Lyme disease, but the other tick-borne diseases, Ehrlichia and Anaplasma, are also really prevalent around here. So it's, you know, just so important to keep up with the monthly flea and tick preventatives for your dogs, and also doing tick checks at the end of every day. Those are your 2 best things.
Yeah, it's bad.
It is, and it's getting worse. Every year it seems like there are more and more ticks, more and more dogs coming up positive for these tick-borne diseases.
So if you have the medication, the dog is okay then?
If you like the treatment,
yeah,
if your dog gets Lyme disease or the other tick-borne diseases, it's very treatable with an antibiotic like doxycycline, but it needs to be caught early. If not, it has the potential to travel to other organs like the kidneys. And then, you know, of course, it can be very serious, but usually it's treatable with antibiotics.
All right, lots of calls. Let's start with Ellie in Stoughton. Hi, Ellie, what's your question?
Hi, yes, we used to give 6 chews like in the spring through the fall for HeartGard, but not in the winter. And now I'm told that I should give 1 chew every month all year long.
Every month.
But just
yeah.
It is every month.
It is every month, and the recommendations have changed over the last couple of years, and now vets are recommending 1 chewable treatment for the heartworm preventative once a month year-round. And that's just because things are changing. The mosquitoes, we're seeing more and more mosquitoes pop up in the middle of winter with the temperatures kind of warming up a little bit. So that's why the recommendation is that way, to keep everybody safe all year round.
And I use the Tribe medicine. It's heartworm, flea and ticks, and something else. So, so it's all in one.
Oh, that's a
and
good one.
intestinal parasites.
That's right.
It gets everything absolutely in 1 chewable that you give once a month, which is very convenient.
And it's the first of the month, so they get it tonight.
Okay. All right, our next caller, Dixie from Verona. Hello, Dixie, what's your question?
My question is, I lost my cat of 23 years.
Wow.
And we now have a barn full of kittens, and I want to bring 2 in the house to replace her, hoping these live 23 years, so they'll live the rest of my life, I hope. But I'm looking to find pet insurance, and I don't know how to go about appraising the different companies that offer pet insurance. Is it worth it? Can you give any advice on that?
Yeah, I do think it is worth it at the point you're at with young cats to look into the pet insurance, but I will say there's so much out there that it can be very confusing deciding what exactly type of coverage you need for your cats. I would talk to your veterinarian just because they might be more familiar with what they've seen, what they're comfortable with, and what they might recommend as far as insurance. But I do think it's good because you never know what might happen. And hopefully they have a long life ahead of them. So it would be good to make that investment now while they're
There's so many different plans out there. It's confusing. The one we have, the price is locked in for the rest of their life. So
oh, that's a good one.
Something to look forward to.
All right.
All right, let's go to Dixie in Verona. Hi, Dixie.
Oh, no, Lynn.
I'm sorry, Lynn.
Lynn in Janesville.
We just had Dixie.
Hi, Lynn. What's your question?
I was wondering if the doctor had ever heard of fly-catching seizures. My dog, he's a Great Dane St. Bernard mix. He'll throw his head up in the air and towards the side, and then snap at the air like he's trying to catch flies, and there isn't anything around.
Huh. Yeah, I have heard of it. I've not seen it that often, but certainly I know that it exists and really kind of treat it as any other sort of neurological seizure disorder. If your veterinarian might give you a recommendation to see a neurologist, and they can really kind of guide you on what might be possible for treatment for that.
And that's a big dog snapping around.
Right, that is a very big dog. Yeah.
Wow. Okay, we have time for one quick question.
We just have 20 seconds left, so
we're not. Sorry, everybody. She's so popular.
All right, get that medication, that flea and tick medication going.
Yes, I know, definitely. Yeah, keep up with that.
Does that prevent the ticks from infecting the dogs?
Well, it oftentimes prevents the ticks from attaching.
Okay.
So it's not going to prevent the ticks from getting on your dogs, you know, but it's going to prevent the bite, or if they do bite, they'll die and they'll fall off before transmitting any sort of a disease.
So step number one, right there.
All right.
Thank you.
Next month.
Thank you.
Thank you, Karen. Well, the final check of your forecast coming up.
Conditions tomorrow will be similar to today and yesterday, with partly sunny skies, hot temperatures, and a chance of afternoon storms. The weekend is going to remain hot and humid, and temperatures will be around 90 degrees. We also are going to be dry over the weekend, and for the most part next week will be dry. A small chance of storms Monday evening and Saturday, and although temperatures will be cooler, they will still be in the lower 80s.
Tomorrow on Live at 4, our news hounds, Louie and Oliver, have the top animal stories of the week.
And to help kick off June Dairy Month, we'll preview this weekend's Cows on the Concourse event. That's tomorrow at 4.
In today's Final Touch, some English goats are set to trot around the globe in a fundraiser.
It's called the Around the World in 30 Days Challenge. Betty and Doris, Whipsnade Zoo's golden Guernsey goats, are taking on London Zoo's herd of 9 pygmy goats in a hoof-style competition to raise funds for animals in the wild. The goats aren't really going across the globe. They're daily trots on mapped-out routes across their respective zoos. They'll pass camels and penguins, flamingos, giraffes, other animals from all across the world. The pygmy goats, butt and chestnut truffle, marmalade, chutney, pickly, hick, holly, and brambles can go about 3.7 miles an hour per step. Betty and Doris, they have longer legs. They trot about 5 miles an hour. And with the handlers, they should reach a combined 24,901 miles over the next 30 days, equal to the circumference of the planet.
So who's wearing the Fitbit to keep track of this?
I don't know. Somebody, who's keeping track? I think Betty and Doris.
All right.
We'll see you tomorrow. News 3 Now at 5 starts right now.